And we are life partners right now. That is my closest relationship with Merriam-Webster.com. I finished my book. Again. Now I gotta go work on the book. I was just listening to a podcast with Allie Carter and Marissa Mayer from a while ago where they were talking about, oh, I just finished my draft. And the fun thing that like family and friends don't understand or they get confused about is like, well, why are you still working on it? It's like, there's still work to do. There's always still work to do. I have been thinking also about how I'm calling this my like 9th draft. I think more accurately, you could say it's like the 9th pass through the draft. So the 9th time I've like gone all the way through and done edits all the way through. The slightly annoying part is that I need to go back and do another pass because of consistency. Well, there's a couple things I need to do. Let me read you my list. I finished it yesterday and I am going to start this other pass today because I don't want this pass to be big. I really, really don't want this pass to be super big. I might have mentioned back in June, at the end of June, early July, I got edits back from an editor, a professional editor I found on Readsy who's lovely, who worked in the industry for a really long time. And her feedback was basically, after this edit here, I think you're ready to query. I think you have a good chance. Now I've already queried it a little bit. I got some full requests, I got some no's, so I decided to rewrite it to make it, or not rewrite it, but do a big edit on it to make it better, hence why I hired the editor. And so, according to her, I should be mostly, hopefully, finished after I do this final pass, which is mostly for consistency. Here is what I have to look at. Oh, one more thing. I have to move the key over the neck. Okay, so I need to seed a little bit better what the crew, the heist crew that my main character joins, actually does. Originally, I just had them kind of being criminals. It wasn't very specific, but over the course of this past draft, I've made it very specific, and I think it makes a lot of sense. So I need to seed that better and make sure it's consistent. The next thing on here is dialogue consistency. Because I have a character who's Scottish and a bunch who are Italian, I want to make them sound a little more themselves. That being said, yeah, I want it to make it consistent how Scottish and or Italian they are. I have a line, does Macy ever actually say we can't trust Gia? Yeah. Later in the book, my character remembers that this character says we can't trust Gia, and I don't know if she actually says it, so we're gonna check that. Next one is track the dialogue progression, and I believe that's tracking the progression of kind of information. So in all of the conversations where they're talking about the plot, I have to go through and make sure there's no repeated information, and I have to make sure, make sure that there's no repeated information and that it is progressing continuously, consistently. I have to do continuity on the violin. I have Alessandro's first speech, ... Set Alessandro up more. I'm not sure what I meant by that. Oh yeah, okay. His first speech, he is a kind of side character, but he's important because he is the person who's brought everyone together to celebrate this violin that my crew is trying to steal. So we got to work on that speech and, just make sure that it is reflective of his character. Next thing, I have to make something true. So I said, and as another sentence that's later in the book, I have to make it true. The next thing, I have to search for all the names that I have since changed and make sure they are not there anymore. There's a sentence I want to include that the unique grains of wood are very much like a fingerprint which assists with identification. That is just explaining how the Stralius can be identified, the violin. I have something that I need to make very clear, and I have an action that my main character takes that's very subtle and kind of a romantic thing, but it's key to the climax, and I think it's too close to the climax. I don't want people to figure the twist out because of that. So I'm gonna move it a little bit earlier. And the final thing is I have notes from a critique partner who read over my opening, and I'm gonna go through her notes. I'm not gonna implement all of them, but they were very thorough and very helpful. So I'm going to, like, for the most part, not gonna implement all of them, just being that I think I have a good understanding of what's needed for YA in terms of how much interiority and stuff, and I've had professionals take a pass, so I don't want to change anything too much. And she went really deep and kind of pulled it apart, which really appreciate. It's great, but you don't have to always, implement all of the edits. And my big worry at this point is that I'm actually making it worse instead of making it better, because I've been through it so many times. So I have a lot of consistency things I need to go through. And then the critique partner thing. I think the most important thing I can do in the beginning is make the stakes clearer via, which basically means make Lena, the main character, make her misbelief clearer. Because she said, I wasn't really getting that. And I understand. You won't care as much about her goals if you don't understand the stakes and the misbelief and a little bit of the backstory. So we're not doing backstory dumping. We're not doing that, but there are a couple moments I've noticed where I've given tidbits of something and it should be of something else. Clear as mud, right? So I'm gonna look at my critique partner's first stuff first. And actually, you know what, let's do quick wins first. Let me fix these two things. I'm gonna move the action my main character needs to take, and I'm gonna make the tag thing more clear. I'm gonna go do that, and I will see you shortly. All right, so the first two things on my list done. So I hid a clue by making the moment super romantic. So hopefully it's harder to see that that's the clue. And then I was very clear that these glasses scan things and then send a digital print back to headquarters. And I put it right in. I obviously found little things to fix as I went. Makes me nervous that I feel like I need to go through and just triple check things, make sure it's all consistent. Because I made changes that were substantial, I'm just worried about, stuff being inconsistent or like dropping a thread or something. So part of me thinks I might need another beta reader, but here's the thing. When you're on the 9th draft of a book and someone has said, I've gotten feedback multiple times being like, I think this is ready. I don't want it to get dug into again. Maybe that's bad, but I can't keep rewriting it. You know what I mean? So I just want consistency beta reading. I want, this is great, and these threads were dropped. Like, clarity. Like, don't give me shit about it anymore. Maybe that's bad. Maybe it's bad. Maybe that's the wrong time to query. But I do feel like I just need to do it again. I need to do a little bit more. And I'm content with the fact that I think this book, I think I have taken it as far as I can take it for now after I do this. Because I think if I keep going, it just becomes just this mess in my head. And, maybe I could revisit it if I don't get success from querying in another year. But like for me, just working on it without having it gone to an agent or whatever, I think is just like not signed with an agent or anything. I think is just not a great use of my time. So I think I need to start querying it and move on to the next project, which again is in a slightly different genre, which might be able to have a little bit more success. Who knows? Who knows it all? It gets good feedback, that other book. So not that I've had full beta reads, but I've had 15,000 words or so critiqued. So anyways, I think that means I'm going to do my best for consistency. I know the things I need to look at. And I query, send 15, wait a while, send another 15. At that point, it will have been like 41 agents, maybe get up to 50, and then, hey, if nothing comes from that, maybe 50 if I can even find 50. If nothing comes from that, then we just leave it for a while. And eventually agents turn over and the industry changes. So I could try to query it again after another edit in a couple of years if I really wanted to, or bring it to an agent or whatever. But I think as much as I think I need to leave it after this. So in conclusion, I don't know. In conclusion, I'm justifying why I don't want to get another beta reader. Well, or just a fast beta read on consistency and no there's no such thing as a fast read. People are like, you're always going to regret rushing things. I know that, but I don't think I'm rushing it. So I'll think about that a little bit more. And as I edit it, just go through and see what I think. But now I'm going to go to that critique partner feedback and see, I have an hour until my next meeting, and see what kind of stuff I want to implement. So see you there. If you're enjoying this video and you generally like to hear about writing vlogs and revising and that kind of thing, give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, I would love to have you. I make content like this all the time. Lots of blogs, lots of craft books, lots of chatting about writing in general. It's a fun time, and let me know what you think below, where you are at in your draft, or if you're just starting the writing process or whatever it is, and what is one thing that you find the hardest or you're most scared about in revising. Hello. It is another day, and I am going through a critique partner's notes, still on the first couple of pages. The other thing I'm working on doing as I go through her notes, which is also based on her feedback, is basically, in your first chapters, you have teeny tiny little drops of backstory. I am changing and tweaking those drops to better reflect the character's, Lena's, misbelief and her, I guess, emotional state. Because basically, this critique partner didn't totally get what I was putting down with the motivation. And I think that when people are like, well, what are the stakes? There's high stakes emotionally, but I reveal the details of the stakes towards the very end, which is a problem because we're not invested. We don't understand why this matters so much if we don't nail this emotional relationship part. This being a heist book, it's pretty funny that I'm like so narrowed in on this emotional part. But it's not like I'm ever going and explaining the emotional backstory. But there's something like, so as an example, there was a line where it was like, last year I would have texted my aunt, but I couldn't do that now. I tweaked that by making it more, I wished I could text my aunt. She was the only person who could calm my nerves, but talking to her wouldn't comfort me anymore. It's very subtle changes, but I'm hoping to better show that this is a relationship that was good, that is now gone. And that's something that the editor that I hired back in June talked about. And I didn't fully buy into why it was so important, but it's this critique partner's feedback that's really helping me understand why it is. And so then later I have another sentence, and of course there was Aunt Amelia hovering at the table closest to me, more invested than anyone, even mom. That's good, but it's not perfectly showing the relationship. So I need another something that's like, I wished it was like X, or it's annoying that she's there, or something like that. Like, we need to get these little tiny sentences. I'm not adding any sentences. I'm just changing them. And trying to look at these small bits, small details, and just seeing if I can bring out those emotional bits even with more specificity. I guess that's the word. It needs to be more specific and more nail on the head, especially in these first opening pages, without becoming info dumpy, which of course is what writing is. Also, I remember reading about writers who'd be like, I worked for 4 hours and I got 1 sentence and I was like, pshaw, I can write 4,000 words in 4 hours. I get it now. Yesterday, I spent 20 minutes trying to choose a verb. What the hell? We're at that point. We're at the point where it takes us 20 minutes to decide on a verb, and I change the verb and then I search it in the document and I'm like, I've used this verb 17 times. We need a different verb that I've never used anywhere else in the book. And that is where I'm at with my editing right now. So Merriam-Webster, thesaurus. Thesaurus.com sucks also. I don't know what it is. You'd think that they were the same. It's not. I hate thesaurus.com. Merriam-Webster is where it's at. And we are life partners right now. That is my closest relationship with Merriam-Webster.com. Continuing on. Let's go. I am going to try to get through the 2nd chapter, maybe the 3rd of this critique partner feedback, and keep doing these little emotional buzz, and I will let you know how it goes. So close and yet so far. So it is the next day and I've been working all morning on editing up till I'm in chapter 5 right now. So just applying those critique partners notes and just making sure it's good. But I got through chapter 5 and I just stopped and I was like, I could simplify this further. I could get us to the heist faster if I restructured the beginning a bit and just took a bunch of stuff out. I hate this so much that I don't know if I'm going to do it for sure. It would be killing a lot of fun stuff, but I'm like, is this super important? I don't know. I mean, it is. It's great bonding. It's nice to see them together. But I could also just get rid of like 3 chapters and just get to something faster, which might be the thing to do. But then you don't have any of the fun moments of them together, and like building the trust and a lot of the humor is taken out. I don't know if I get rid of it or not, honestly. Because on it also, there's a lot of like questions. There's a lot of like difficulties getting my character to this meeting. And I would still have some of those, but I would smooth them out a little bit. So there's less questions and there's more she's just going. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have to think about it for a bit. Ugh. I keep coming up with ideas and then being like, do I implement it? Do I not implement it? Didn't I just say I wasn't going to change things anymore and I was just doing small cleanups? Ugh. I don't know. Do I get rid of it or not? I have to maybe go over some old beta reader feedback and comments and just see. I don't want to not do it because it's a lot of work. It isn't even that much work. It's not that crazy a change. I'm just getting rid of stuff and then moving this setting. Like, we can do that. The only thing I would have to create is a reason for my character to agree to go into this room, because right now she won't. She doesn't. She just like kind of ends up there. But maybe it would be better if she chose to go in. I don't know. It's a heist, so there's obviously like some suspension of disbelief needed. I'm not sure. I'm going to reread some of the editor's comments. I'm going to reread some beta readers' comments and just try to get a decision on whether I even want to do this or not. If I want to make this change. It could be, here's the thing. It could be a good change in that you get to the plot and the major dramatic question and stuff like that. Kind of a chapter, let's call it a chapter faster, which is probably good. On the other hand, some of the whimsy, the bonding between the two characters, the fun would be lost. You're still in a fun setting. You're on a yacht. That's fun. But there's less like relationship building between them. It's one of those things, it's like, sometimes when I've made changes before that like really cut the fat of the book, people who've read both versions have come back and said, oh, like I really liked that and it has lost something for not having these like emotional, not even emotional, but more like relationship building moments Do I write it and then compare them? I don't know. But I'm gonna end this vlog here in the midst of my crisis. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time with another editing vlog, but also keep an eye out. I still have part 2 of my Good Girls Guide to Murder Analysis coming. I'm doing a history of YA video as well, and then I have a couple of fun analyses I want to work on as well and bring to you. One is Kate Quinn, one is Percy Jackson. So all of these things are like cooking in the back. I'm really excited about them. So keep an eye out, and you can turn on notifications if that's still a thing, if you want to be notified. See you next time.